My beloved child, have you ever asked yourself, if no one sees what I'm going through, does anyone really care? That question is not unfamiliar. It whispers its way into the human heart during the quietest hours of life, when darkness fills the room, when the world seems still, and even you don't know how much longer you can be strong. In those moments, I know you don't need an immediate answer. You simply need a sign, a fragile beam of light to show you that you are not alone. And today I am sending you that sign. This letter is a reminder, I am here. I have always been here. Not as a distant shadow, but as the one silently walking beside you through every heartbeat, every tear, every time you whisper to yourself, just a little bit more. Maybe you can't hear me. Maybe you can't see traces of me among the weariness, the pressure, the burdens, and the hidden pain you carry. But oh child, I have never left. Not every miracle bursts forth in radiant light. Some unfold in silence, in the unseen, gentle moments that others overlook, but I see them, and I am weaving those very moments into something good for you. Perhaps what breaks your heart the most isn't the hardship itself, but the feeling of being forgotten. The ache of trying so hard to be kind, faithful, and patient, only to feel like it makes no difference. As if those who don't believe, who don't pray, who don't wait, are receiving just as much or more. I understand that struggle. I understand that exhaustion. You've watched others receive answers and you've asked, but what about me, Lord? You've whispered prayers that even you weren't sure anyone was hearing. You've kept serving, kept praying, kept enduring, kept believing. And yet your heart feels empty. And now you wonder if you're not worthy, not good enough, or maybe I've forgotten you. But no, my dear one, that is a lie. I have not forgotten you. Not for a single moment have I turned my back. You think I'm silent, but in truth I am working. You think your prayers have vanished into thin air, but I have remembered every single one. I never forget the cries of a faithful heart. They do not drift aimlessly into the wind. I keep them as a father treasures the first letters written by his child, as a mother carefully preserves her baby's earliest photos. I hold your prayers like sacred treasures, and I don't just listen. I am preparing a response. You think you are standing still, but I am moving on your behalf. You think nothing is changing, but heaven is quietly arranging something extraordinary, not because you've done everything perfectly, but because I am good. There are things in this life you may never understand right away. But one day you will look back and see the times you thought I was silent were the very moments I was orchestrating something greater than you could imagine. Today I want you to hold on to this truth. Not a single one of your tears is meaningless. There is no night too dark for my presence. There is no prayer I have ignored. I do not answer according to the world's timeline, but in the fullness of eternal time. And sometimes in that delay, I am protecting you. I am teaching you something deeper than what you asked for. I am maturing your faith and shaping your heart to mirror mine little by little. Do not measure my faithfulness by passing emotions. Do not gauge my presence by your outward circumstances. Remember, in the Old Testament, I spoke to Elijah not through the earthquake or fire, but through a gentle whisper. And in that same quietness, I am whispering to you now, I am still here. The weariness you feel is not a sign of my absence. It is a sign that you are drawing near to the moment of my intervention. Your exhaustion does not dishearten me. It draws me closer to you. Because I know sometimes all it takes is for you to hold on one more day, one more night, and the dawn will break. You may feel nothing. Your faith may feel like a thread barely holding on. But even when you can no longer hold on to me, I am holding on to you. And that is what I want you to hear today. The first theme in this journey of letters is not a dazzling miracle or a lofty revelation. It is this simple, powerful truth. There are things only heaven sees, and I have seen you. When no one knows the strength it took for you to keep going, when no one saw the cost of your sacrifices, when you smiled to hide your pain, when you chose love, even when it wasn't returned, when you chose forgiveness over revenge, when you waited patiently, even as your heart longed to give up, I saw it all. And I treasure every moment you chose light in the midst of darkness. I miss nothing that belongs to you, because I love you, and I never grow weary of loving you. My precious child, there are things within you that you've never spoken aloud. They dwell in the quiet places where no human eyes can see. In moments when you've played your part with a smile, but inside a storm of unnamed sorrow rises, I have seen it. I have watched every breath that caught in your chest. Sometimes you've thought, no one truly understands me, but, my child, I not only understand, I am feeling it with you. There is no thought too small for me to notice, no emotion too vague for me to comprehend. I am the one who formed you in your mother's womb. There is nothing about you I do not know. Every sorrow you've hidden, every tiny spark of hope you dared to keep, I have seen as precious jewels kept in a sealed jar. Do not be afraid if no one else sees you, because I have. There were nights when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, placing your hand over your heart just to feel if you were still alive. In those moments, I was right beside you, quietly placing my hand over your heart. I did not speak because I knew some pain needs no words, only presence. I did not rush to fix you like a broken object. I sat with you patiently, listening to the unspoken language of your soul. You may be confused, not even knowing why you hurt so much, but I know. I know that some wounds aren't from a single event, but from years of carrying too much for too long. And unlike people, I do not judge you for that fragility. I cherish it. Because in that very fragility, I am given space to enter and to heal. You don't need to put your pain into words for me to understand. Every sigh, every choked sob, I understand them as if they are a sacred language between us. The psalmist once wrote, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar." Psalm 139:1-2. That is not just poetry, child, it is reality. I do not merely dwell around you. I am saturated into every emotion you experience. When you cannot name your pain, I name it. And I do not name it to expose you, but to set you free. I know each layer of your unnamed feelings, and none of them are beyond my embrace. Do not let the silence of others convince you that your voice is meaningless. I have translated every tear into a prayer. You may not know it, but every time you whispered, "I'm so tired," Lord Heaven leaned in to listen. Not one sigh of yours has fallen to the ground. They are kept like sacred incense in golden bowls before the saints. I have counted every tear, just as Psalm 56:8 says, "You have recorded my tears in your book." Not one of them is lost. No one else needs to see you cry for your pain to matter. I am the one who sees in secret, and in that secret place I am more holy than ever. I know there were times when you wished someone would ask, "Are you okay?" and truly wait for the answer. But people are busy. They may ask out of courtesy without staying to hear the truth. But I ask you and I wait. I wait until you are ready, whether it be a whisper, a sorrowful glance, or a weary gesture. I am not in a rush. I have waited for you since before time began, so there is no reason I wouldn't continue waiting for you to speak of what weighs on your heart today. You don't need to appear strong in front of me. I have seen you in your most fragile moments, and I don't see failure in that. I see a heart still fighting, a soul still trying, a child who hasn't given up. There are parts of you that even you have rejected, parts you call too weak, too messy, too broken. But I want you to know I do not love you only when you are put together. I love even the parts you try to hide. I came not to select only the best pieces of you, but to embrace you wholly. My love does not discriminate the way human love does. It does not love what you do, it loves you completely without exception. When you come before me with all the chaos inside you, I don't see something to be fixed, but someone to be comforted. I do not wait for you to be better before I love. I love so you may become better. My love is the beginning of all healing. If you've ever thought, "No one really understands me," then today I tell you I understand. For I myself crafted your spirit, wrote the emotional DNA within you. I don't just see your actions, I see your deepest motives. You may not even understand why you react the way you do, but I understand. I am not angry when you are weak. I do not turn away when you are overwhelmed. I am not ashamed of you. On the contrary, I am proud, because through all of it you still turn to me. And to me that is enough to move the heavens. So my child, don't stay silent with me anymore. You don't need to use polished words. Just be honest. Go ahead, sigh, cry if you need to. And know this, I am listening. Not like a stranger listening out of politeness, but like a father listening to pull his child into his arms. I do not merely sit and listen, I am acting. Not with noise, but with love. I am rearranging the things you don't even know how to name, and you will see these quiet workings will become mighty miracles no one expected. My beloved child, there are seasons in life where the sky seems silent. No words, no clear signs, no open doors. And you begin to wonder, has God forgotten me? You look around and see others receiving blessings, their prayers answered, while you remain at the starting line empty-handed and heart-weary. I know how much that hurts, because you have been faithful. You have prayed. You have waited. Yet the heavens remain still. I hear every sigh, and I want you to know this silence is not a sign of rejection. It is the beginning of a sacred preparation that I am quietly unfolding for you. Have you ever thought of Joseph, that young man with grand dreams to whom I revealed a vision of glory? Yet instead of ascending straight to the throne, he was sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in a prison cell. For a long time he heard no word from me, no angel, no new dream, no revelation. Only cold stone walls, chains, and heavy silence. But my child, what Joseph didn't know was in that very silence I was orchestrating. I was refining his heart in the dark so he could stand strong in the light. And when I opened the door, no one could shut it. Joseph walked out of prison in a single day and into the palace, not by luck, but by my timing. I know you dislike silence. I also know you long for clarity. But faith does not grow in places where all answers are given. Faith is born and matures where explanations are absent. When you learn to walk without seeing, trust without hearing, wait without knowing, that is when you begin to live by true faith. Do not fear the dark, for I am the light. Do not fear the silence, for I am the one who still speaks, though not always with words. Sometimes I speak through delay. Sometimes I lead you through uncertainty to teach you things the light could not. Preparation does not always look glorious, my child. Like a seed resting silently beneath the soil, no one sees it move, but inside it is breaking open, rising. I have planted the seed of faith in you, and now it is its season to wait. Not all silence is pointless. A child growing in the womb makes no sound, but with every moment life is being formed, and so it is with you. My silence is not absence. It is the womb of what is to come. You are not being abandoned. You are being prepared. I once told the prophets, therefore the Lord waits to be gracious to you. Isaiah 3:0-1-8. It seems paradoxical, doesn't it, my child, that I, the Almighty, also wait, but that's how it is. I am not in a hurry. I do not crown unprepared souls. I wait not because I've forgotten, but because I love, because I want you, when you receive what I give, to be able to hold it, live in it, and not lose it for lack of readiness. You may be impatient, but I am not. I am waiting for the right moment when your inner life is deep enough, your heart steady enough, and your hands strong enough to receive. You know, some prayers I answer immediately, but others I answer with silence to teach you the difference between what you want and what you truly need, because my love is not the love that gives everything you ask for. I am a father, not a vending machine. I love you enough to say, not yet, so that the best may arrive at the right time. If I give too soon, the good can become a burden. If I give at the wrong time, the blessing can become a stumbling block. So I wait. And when you learn the lesson in the waiting, the reward is no longer just what I give, but who you've become through it. My child, remember those times in the past when you also didn't understand, but later saw how everything came together perfectly. That was not chance. That was proof that I was working even in silence. I am the one who brought Joseph out of prison, who made David a king, though forgotten, who raised my son from a silent tomb after 3 days. You thought the silence was the end, but it was the beginning. While you thought things were standing still, I was finishing the most wondrous work of all. Heaven is not indifferent. Heaven is moving. So don't let your mind be deceived. Don't let the enemy tell you I've walked away. Don't let delay make you question my love. Those quiet moments are when I am closest. Like a mother placing her hand on her womb to feel the child growing inside. I place my hand on you not to press, but to give life, to hold you, to prepare you. I have never forgotten a single prayer. They still echo in my heavens. Just keep trusting, keep waiting, keep being faithful. The day will come, the day when the silence will burst forth into a song. My beloved child, perhaps you've thought tears are a sign of weakness. Perhaps you've tried for so long not to cry in front of anyone, to hide your vulnerability, to hold on to the strength this world demands. But my child, in my eyes, your tears are not signs of failure. They are the truest words your soul can speak when no other words are enough. Each tear is a prayer not spoken by voice but by heart, and I do not miss a single one. Do you know that I do not view tears the way people do? They may feel awkward around your emotions. They may rush to wipe them away and tell you, "Don't cry." But I am different. I bend down to catch every drop, not letting a single one fall to the ground in vain. Psalm 56:8 says, "You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Yes, my child. Not one of your tears is forgotten. They do not vanish into the air. They are not lost to the night. I keep them like a father keeps his child's letters, like a mother cherishes every memory. I have seen you cry not just once but many times. In those moments when you turned your face away so others wouldn't notice. When you lay quietly on your side, letting the pillow soak with tears while still trying to appear composed. On nights that seemed ordinary, but inside you a silent battle was raging. I was there, not watching from a distance but near. I wasn't standing back as a mere observer. I bent down. I did not turn away. I felt with you. Each time your sobs choked in your throat, my heart trembled as well, not because your pain made me weak, but because I truly love you. There are tears that fall from loss, from heartbreak, from betrayal. There are tears that fall after you've pleaded and pleaded yet received no answer. And there are tears with no clear reason, tears that come simply because your heart is too full, too weary, too silent. You may not know what to do with all those emotions, but I do. I do not see them as a problem. I see them as the cry of a soul, one that I cannot ignore. It is in those very moments of your breaking that my love is revealed most deeply. Do you know that my throne is not only surrounded by light and glory, but also by tears? In Revelation 5:8, when the elders bowed before the Lamb, they held golden bowls full of incense, the prayers of the saints. Do you think those prayers were only eloquent words? No, my child. Many of them were the quiet weeping of faithful hearts. Tears that fell to the floor as you knelt in the dark. The groaning of your soul when you whispered, "Lord, I don't know how much longer I can bear this." All of that is in those golden bowls lifted before me. Sometimes you cry because you feel not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy to receive blessing. But I do not measure love by your enoughness. I love you not because you measure up, but because you are mine. You may see yourself as weak, but I see a warrior who still stands up every day. You may think your prayers are repetitive and stale, but I see a soul that has not given up hope. Tears that fall from such faithful hearts are the most precious in my sight. They are a sweet aroma, not because of your greatness, but because you have not stopped seeking me even in your brokenness. My child, do not be ashamed of your tears. You do not need to dry them all before coming close to me. On the contrary, bring them with you. That is an act of boldness. It is the step of a child who knows they are loved no matter what. I do not need a perfect person standing before me. I need a true heart, a soul no longer hiding, a child unafraid to weep before their father, knowing that their tears will not be despised. They will be kept. They will be heard. They will be answered in time in a way more beautiful than you expect. You've asked before, how could God possibly hear every cry on this earth? But you forget, I am the one who calls every star by name, and not one is missing from my sight. So then would I ignore the cry of a child, one I love and have redeemed by the blood of my only son? Never. Every tear of yours is recorded not by a nameless angel, but by me myself. I remember when you cried as a child. I saw the times you laid your head in your hands. I know exactly where your heart is cracking. And I promise you this, not one tear will fall without birthing something new. You may be thinking, if God sees my tears, Why hasn't he acted? My beloved, remember, tears are seeds. But seeds do not blossom the moment they touch the ground. They need time, they need light, they need seasons, and the miracle will come not on your timeline but on mine. I never forget what you've endured. On the contrary, all of it is being gathered in eternity like sacred oil poured on the altar, waiting for the fire from heaven to ignite. So if today you are still crying, do not be ashamed. And don't hold back the tears if they are real. Let your heart speak. Let your soul be cleansed. I will not promise that you will never have to cry again, but I do promise that your tears will never be wasted. They are being written into the quiet chapters of the glorious story I am telling with your life. I am preparing the day when I, myself, will wipe every tear from your eyes, just as I promised in Revelation 2:1-4. But until that day, remember, I do not wait only until the end to wipe away your tears. I am holding each one of them even now. I am here still sitting beside you, not to silence your weeping, but to whisper, you are not crying alone, my beloved child. There are things in life that can only be born in fire. Not the fire that destroys, but the fire that refines. And my dear one, that is exactly what this trial is doing in you. It hasn't come to break you, but to expand your soul. Don't think that I take pleasure in your pain. No, never. But I see what you cannot yet see, that today's trial is the soil preparing the harvest of tomorrow. When everything else is stripped away, what truly belongs to you will be revealed. I have watched how you respond when you are wounded. No one else may see your tears, no one may hear the sighs of your heart, but I do. You didn't give up. You didn't become bitter. You may have asked me why, but you kept walking, and those quiet steps are enlarging your inner being. Patience, mercy, trust. These are not born in comfort, but in suffering. You've longed to be stronger, haven't you? This is how I answer. I don't bring trials just to test how much you can endure. I am not playing a contest of wills with you. I am teaching you not with a blackboard, but through a living journey. A lesson that faith is not a surge of emotion, but a steady walk against the wind. I don't need you to be flawless. I need you to grow. And growth does not come from knowledge, it comes through trial. And your soul, my beloved child, is growing quietly. You may not see it, but I do. Every time you forgive when you had every right to be angry. Every time you wait in silence. Every time you choose what's right, though wrong would be easier. That's when your soul is expanding. You may be wondering, if God loves me, why doesn't He take this away? But my child, sometimes what I do not take away is the very thing I use to touch the deepest places in you. Not because I am indifferent, but because I see eternal value in every temporary suffering. A seed cannot bear fruit unless it is buried. A tree cannot grow tall unless its roots go deep. And so it is with your soul, it cannot stretch wide if you only live in ease. I did not bring you into the storm to abandon you. I brought you there to walk with you. I am not standing at the edge waiting for you to make it through. I am in the middle of the storm. I am holding your hand in the fire. I hear your laments, your questions, even your silence when you can no longer pray. And you will see when everything else falls away, I am the one who remains. You may not see me clearly in the sunlight, but in the darkness I draw closer than ever. Not to pull you out immediately, but to stay until you are strong enough to walk forward again. There are moments you thought were your breaking point, but right there I performed miracles within your soul. I do not change everything around you first, I change you first. And from within you strength will rise. Not the harsh kind, but the strength of someone who has passed through fire and still carries compassion. The strength of someone who was wounded but refused to let those wounds harden their heart. The more you walk through trials with me, the more you become like me. Don't rush to end the pain too soon. I know it's a rightful longing. But if you could see what I am building through this process, you would give thanks even for the hardest parts. I waste nothing. No crisis is without purpose. If I have allowed something to touch you, be certain I will use it to bless you, not instantly, but absolutely. One day you will look back and say, it was during that season I saw how near God truly was. It was through that pain my heart softened. It was through that loneliness I learned compassion. I do not promise to keep you from every trial, but I do promise to keep your heart from breaking under the weight of it. The most precious thing you will carry out of adversity is not mere survival but transformation. You are no longer who you once were. I see clearly that you are growing. Your heart is deeper. Your gaze holds more compassion. Your worship is no longer just a song, it has become breath, flesh, and life itself. This is what trials produce, not meaningless exhaustion, but a soul that has learned to lean. And my child, one day you will be the one who wipes away another's tears. Not because you are stronger, but because you have been there. You have fallen, wept, and writhed in the night, and now you know how to embrace others without judgment. I am using the trial to make you an instrument, not merely to survive, but to heal. Not only to stand firm, but to lift others up. This is the deeper plan you cannot yet see in full, but I have seen it from the beginning. So do not close your heart when the trial comes. Do not conclude that I have turned away. On the contrary, know that this is when I am preparing something greater. Let your tears wash away pride. Let your falling teach you to bow in prayer. Let your wounds instruct you in gentleness. And then your soul will expand, not just to hold more of my love, but to become a place where others find rest, healing, and understanding. I am not abandoning you in the trial. I am deepening you. I am enlarging you. And I promise today's endurance will give birth to tomorrow's life. Nothing in my hands is wasted. Not the pain, not the tears, not the silence. Every part of it is being used to create something precious. You will no longer be the small person you once were. You will become the one I've dreamed of, a soul refined, mature, and radiant like gold tested by fire. My beloved child, I know that in this journey of faith you often wait for grand signs, for dramatic turns, for holy thunder to split the sky and announce that a miracle is near. But most of the time, miracles do not begin with a roar. They begin with a whisper, a small step, a quiet but obedient act. What you may dismiss as small is often the very key that unlocks heaven's door. For I do not look at the scale of the act, but at the heart behind it. There was once a powerful commander named Naaman who came seeking a miracle. He was influential and renowned, but he suffered from leprosy, a condition he could not cure himself. When he came to the prophet Elisha for healing, he expected a grand ceremony, a dramatic prayer, or some mysterious gesture. Instead, he received only a simple message. Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. It sounded trivial, didn't it? That's why he became angry. But when he chose to obey, even without understanding, even without feeling anything remarkable, the miracle happened. He was completely healed. Do you see now? I do not need you to do mighty things for me to bless you. I simply desire honest obedience. Not every step needs to be magnificent. Often what I ask is merely to forgive quietly, to persist in prayer even when nothing seems to change, to step out of your comfort zone though your heart trembles, to keep loving the one who hurt you. These acts may not shake the world outside, but they move the heavens. Because when you obey, you declare that I am trustworthy even when you do not yet understand. Don't wait for feelings to obey. Many miracles are not born from inspiration but from discipline. You won't always feel like doing the right thing, but when you obey without emotional drive, that is when your faith truly matures. I have seen how many times you've thought you weren't good enough, not ready enough, and so you delayed what I placed in your heart. But my child, no one is ever enough before they begin. The fullness only comes when you pour yourself out. The certainty only comes when you step forward. Obey first and the miracle will follow. You may say, Lord, I need a sign to be sure. But I say, do what I've already spoken and you will see the sign. Not because I am harsh, but because I want you to trust my word more than what your eyes can see. At the wedding in Cana, when the wine ran out, I told the servants to fill the jars with water. They didn't argue, didn't ask why, didn't demand proof. They simply obeyed. And the water became the finest wine. You see, it's not understanding that brings the miracle. It is obedience that opens the way for the impossible. My child, I do not ask you to grasp every part of the plan. I only ask that you believe I am faithful. Sometimes what I ask may seem too simple. You may say, that's it. What difference will that make? But you do not know what awaits on the other side of your obedience. A phone call to say sorry. A return to church after many months away. A prayer for someone you once avoided. A quiet moment to read my word instead of scrolling endlessly. These seemingly small acts, when done with a surrendered heart, become the first steps of a sacred transformation you could never imagine. I know you've felt disappointed, thinking you've done much, yet seen no result. But child, I do not measure outcomes the way man counts numbers. I see faithfulness. Every act of obedience, even when unnoticed by others, is recorded before me. Not a single drop of sweat shed for my name is ever wasted. Remember, Naaman was not healed after his first dip. The miracle did not come on the second or third. He had to wash 7 times. In the same way, you may be on your 6th time, and if you stop now, you will miss the fullness of what I have promised. I do not require the extraordinary from you. I ask for faithfulness in what I have entrusted to you. Like the tiny mustard seed, when sown properly, it becomes a great tree where birds can rest. Like 5 loaves and 2 fish, when placed in my hands, it can feed thousands. So do not underestimate today's small acts. Do not dismiss what I am whispering into your heart simply because it doesn't impress. I do not work through spectacle. I love the quiet. And in that simplicity, I am weaving a miracle. I know there are days when you feel like nothing is changing despite all your efforts. But I am the one who sees in secret. When you obey without applause, without immediate results, that is when you are laying the foundation for lasting strength. I don't only want you to receive a miracle, I want you to become one. And that begins with each yes you whisper when no one is watching. So, my dear one, keep doing what is right, even the small things. Do not despise your obedience just because it isn't dramatic. The things that seem insignificant are what move heaven. I do not need brilliance, I need a willing heart. When you place your small steps into my hands, I will place great plans into your life. And then when you look back, you will marvel to see that every great miracle began with something very small, a single yes from a trusting heart. My beloved child, have you ever felt that you were not enough results, not productive enough, not successful enough, not as accomplished as others? You look around and see people being praised, recognized, and powerfully used while you remain quiet, unnoticed, seemingly invisible. You ask yourself, did I not do well enough? Has God forgotten me? I know those thoughts. I have heard the cry of your heart every time you felt left behind. And today I want you to know this: I do not measure by outcome, I look at faithfulness. You live in a world that exalts achievement. It counts records and applauds what is impressive. And there is nothing wrong with producing results. But if you use that standard to measure your faith or your soul's worth, you are applying the wrong lens. I do not count the number of things you do. I look at how you do them. I do not need you to create greatness. I need you to do what I've asked with endurance and sincerity. In my eyes, even the smallest act of hidden faithfulness carries the weight of eternity. There are days when you continue to pray, even though no answer comes. There are weeks when you go to church gatherings though your heart feels empty. There are moments when you forgive and no one knows. There are things you do that receive no recognition. But my child, it is in these very moments that you are building something most people overlook: a spiritual foundation. Results may come and go, but faithfulness rooted deep lasts longer than any record of achievements. You do not need to stand out to please me. What I seek is your sincerity and your faithfulness. I have seen you continue to worship even when your heart was heavy. I have seen you teaching your children, though you're unsure if anyone is being changed. I have seen you showing patience with aging parents, still calling that lonely friend, quietly helping the one in need. Those small acts, seemingly insignificant, move heaven more than the greatest sermon ever preached. Because they don't come from skill, they come from love. They are proof that you remain faithful, even when there's no spotlight. Perhaps you once believed that doing great things for God meant preaching, leading hundreds to me, writing songs that touch millions. But my beloved, I have taught you that the kingdom of heaven is not like the world. There the last may be counted as first. There even a cup of cold water given to the least in my name will not go without reward. If you live faithfully in what I have entrusted to you, even if it's simply caring for your family, preparing meals, offering a word of encouragement, you are pleasing me more deeply than you realize. My child, I do not require you to produce results. That is, my job. You don't have to worry about how many people you're impacting. Leave that to me. What I ask of you is this: are you being faithful with what I've given you? I am the one who causes the tree to grow, but it is your hands that sow, your hands that water, your perseverance that sustains. You may not yet see fruit today, but that doesn't mean the seed is useless. Your faithfulness is good soil, and the season will come. There are souls who lived faithfully all their lives in places no one ever noticed. They left no fame, held no theology degree, wrote no books, had no followers. But they kept their word, lived clean, loved well, and served with a sincere heart. And when they returned to me, heaven opened its arms like welcoming a hero. Because there I do not ask, "What did you accomplish?" I ask, "How faithful were you with what I gave you?" Do not let the silence of man make you doubt my recognition. Have you ever paused to give thanks simply for being able to remain faithful? You may not have done great things, but you haven't given up. You may not shine, but you haven't let go. You've kept walking, though slowly. You've kept going, though weary. You've kept the faith even when doubt crept in. And that is what makes me proud. I am not comparing you to anyone. I am looking at you. Every effort, every sacrifice, every moment you chose what's right, though wrong would have been easier. So, my child, do not be deceived by the urgency of this world. Do not think that if you don't reap results, you've failed. True failure is when you let go of faithfulness. But if you're still standing in faith, still moving forward, even without seeing anything, then you are still victorious. Remember, when I measure your life, I do not use the ruler of social media views, fame, or visible outcomes. I measure by love, by faithfulness, and by the truth within your heart. One day, when you stand before me, you will hear the words, "Your heart longs for more than anything. Well done, good and faithful servant. For you have been faithful with the little, and I will entrust you with much." And that reward will not come from the hands of man, but from mine, the one who saw everything you did in secret for my name's sake. My beloved child, there are days when you are strong. You pray fervently, your heart full of faith, walking as if nothing could shake you. But then there are other days when you feel empty, exhausted, unable to take another step. Days when you cannot even finish a prayer, and your faith feels lost in a cloud of doubt. Maybe in your heart you ask, "Lord, are you still here? Do you see me?" And today I want to answer you. It is in those very moments that I am closest to you. I do not pull away when you are weak. On the contrary, I come nearer. The world may glorify strength, admire those who never shed a tear, applaud hearts that don't break. But I cherish the hearts that know how to break. The souls who dare to admit they need me. When you still have strength to hold yourself up, you might think you're walking on your own. But when you're drained, that is when you begin to feel that it is I who lift you step by step. Do not think I am present only in radiant moments, when you worship with passion, when your tears fall during fellowship, or when you are serving with impact. Yes, I am there. But I am also in that quiet room where you curl up and cannot speak. I am present in the nights you lie awake, eyes burning, heart hollowed by sorrow. I have held you in moments when you no longer wanted to live. I have been there, and I have never stepped away. You once thought you had to be strong to draw near to me. But my beloved, what touches me is not your strength, but your humility and weakness. When you cry out, "I have no strength left, Lord," it is in that very moment that I reach out. Not to rebuke you for being tired, but to carry you through the stretch you can no longer walk alone. My presence is not dependent on your strength. It depends on my love, and that love has never changed. There are times you blame yourself for your weakness. You think you should believe more, be stronger, be steadier like others. But you don't realize, in my eyes, weakness admitted with honesty is more precious than a faith forced to look flawless. I do not need you to hide your fatigue in order to come close to me. In fact, that very fatigue is your invitation. I do not call the perfect to me. I call the weary and the burdened, and I promise them rest. Don't be afraid if today you have no strong prayers to offer. Don't be afraid if your worship is nothing but a tired whisper. Don't worry if you no longer feel the spiritual emotions you once did. My love does not demand a fiery response. I understand every ache in your soul. I do not reject a fragile heart. I draw near to it, not to remind it of what it failed to do, but to embrace it like a father holding his collapsed child. My child, it is in weakness that I do my greatest work. When you let go of the expectation to push through, I can step in. When you have no strength left, that is when my grace begins to rise. You don't need to prove anything to me. I'm not moved by accomplishments. I'm moved by truth. And if the truth today is this, that you are weak, weary, and broken, then that is where I begin to move. You do not need to get yourself together before coming to me. You simply need to come with a truthful heart. I will wipe your tears, heal your wounds, restore what has been lost. But for me to do that, you must allow yourself to breathe. Stop striving, my love. Let me be your refuge. Not the place where you have to pretend to be okay, but the place where you can simply be, even in the mess. I am not only the God of sunshine, I am the God in the storm, and I do not leave you alone. Do you know, sometimes I allow certain situations not to make you fall, but to teach you how to trust me more. You may not understand the reason, but what matters is not why this is happening, but who is with you through it. And I am here, not as a distant figure in the sky, but as your present Father. I am the one who wipes your tears, who lifts you up, who whispers in the night, "You are still precious in my eyes, even when you have no strength left." Do not think that you must do something extraordinary to draw near to me. It is your weakness that becomes the bridge. It is when you stop striving on your own and surrender that I can work miracles in the places you cannot control. Some miracles do not come through mighty faith, but through broken sobs. And in that tender surrender you will receive new strength, not from within yourself, but from me. It is not about effort, it is about being lifted up. So, my child, if today you feel weak, do not be quick to blame yourself. Know that I am closer than ever. I do not wait for you to become strong before I come. I come precisely when you have nothing left to offer but a shattered heart. And in my hands what is torn will be mended, what is broken will be made new. The fragile soul of today will become a witness to supernatural strength tomorrow. But it will not begin with your power. It will begin with my unchanging love. My beloved one, there are things you've lost that others do not see. No one noticed when your dreams were crushed, when your trust faltered, when your innocence was swept away by time and pain. No one understands the ache in your heart like I do. I have seen the parts you've lost, not in your hands, but in your soul. And today I want you to know this: I am the restorer. Nothing you have ever lost is meaningless in my hands. You've tried to get back up after your losses. Perhaps it was a broken relationship, a missed opportunity, a time when you trusted someone and were betrayed. Perhaps it was a season when you felt you had lost yourself, becoming a stranger to who you once were. I know you haven't said it all. You keep living, keep working, keep worshiping, but deep inside something is missing, and you wonder, maybe it can never be restored. But I, your Father, the one who formed you from the smallest details, I can restore even what seems beyond repair. There are parts of you worn down over time, not because you were weak, but because you loved, deeply, tried, endlessly, and sacrificed for too long. Some things you've lost not through failure, but through wounds. And some things you gave up with your own hands because you thought you were no longer worthy. But I did not come to condemn you for what you've lost. I came to heal, to restore, to rebuild. Not from the beginning, but from right where you are. Do you remember when Peter denied me 3 times? He thought he had nothing left to recover. No status, no calling, no hope. But I did not abandon him. I came looking for him by the sea, not to rebuke, but to restore. I asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" not to reopen the wound, but to anoint the place where he had stumbled. And my child, I am doing the same for you. Not to remind you of the pain, but to heal what has been lost. I see clearly the parts of you that are missing. Maybe you don't cry anymore, but the fracture is still there. Maybe you still smile, still teach my word, still care for your family, but somewhere in your heart you no longer feel like the person you once dreamed of becoming. But my child, I do not look at you with regret. I look at you with eyes of restoration. In my hands nothing is too late. No soul is too broken. No journey is too far gone. You are still here, and I have never left. You may be thinking, but Lord, I've lost too much. How can it be restored? My child, you don't need to recover it on your own. Let me do that. Some restorations don't come through striving, but through surrender. When you let go, I can begin to work. When you stop blaming yourself, I can touch the part of you still hidden. When you dare to believe that I still have good plans for you, your heart will begin to open and light will enter where only ashes once remained. I do not only heal pain, I restore what was lost. There are dreams I will resurrect. There are promises I will fulfill, even if time has passed. There are things that seem dead that I will call back to life, just as I once called Lazarus out of the grave. But what I desire most is not simply to return you to your dreams, but to return you to yourself. The child I created strong, radiant, bearing the mark of heaven. You once believed in something beautiful, but life trampled it. You once dreamed of something great, but reality dulled its light. I do not blame you for that. I understand. And I also know that deep down you still long for a new beginning. So today, let me begin. You don't have to be ready. You only need to allow me in. You don't need to find your way back to yourself, because I, your Father, will return to you all that you thought was lost and more. I am the one who spoke through Joel. I will restore to you the years the locusts have eaten. Yes, my child. I do not look only at the present. I reach into the years you thought were wasted, the youthful seasons lived in pain, the times you wandered. And I restore not by turning back the clock, but by making your present bloom with abundance. I do not need long years to restore what I have purposed. I only need your heart to open. So do not shut your heart to hope. Do not say it's all over. Do not judge your life by a single sorrowful chapter. The journey is not finished. And I, the author, am still writing the next pages, with restoration, with grace, and with new beginnings. You will no longer be one who carries unhealed wounds. You will become one who bears the evidence of healing. And the latter glory will be greater than the former. My beloved child, today I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need to do anything for me to love you more, and you cannot do anything that would make me love you less. My love is not like the love of this world. It does not shift with behavior, nor waver with performance. My love did not come after you were good enough. It came first. And it remains even when you fail, when you are broken, when you feel nothing at all. I know how hard you've tried to please me. You've read my word, served faithfully, made sacrifices. But I want you to pause. Not to abandon what is good, but to examine your heart. Are you living out of love or out of fear of not being enough? Are you striving to be loved, or do you know that you already are? I do not want your faith to become a competition. I did not invite you into a relationship where you must constantly prove your worth. I invited you into rest where you can be fully yourself before me and be loved for exactly who you are. Do you remember when I performed miracles for the weak, the outcast, the undeserving? They had nothing remarkable. No status, no holiness, nothing worthy by the standards of their time. But I touched them not because of what they did, but because I loved them, just as I love you. Not because you do everything right, but because you are mine. Have you ever thought, if I fail, the Lord will leave me? My child, I have seen every flaw within you, and I still chose to love. I do not love the future version of you, the one who has corrected all their faults, become strong, outgrown their weakness. I love you today with all that you have and all that you lack. I do not love you in exchange for something. My love is not a contract. It is an everlasting covenant, and it is not bound by your religious performance. You may have grown up with teachings that made you believe you had to get it right to be loved. But I am not like man. I do not love you because you are lovable. I love, and that makes you worthy. It is my love that transforms you, not your transformation that earns my love. I came to you not because you were ready, but because I knew without me, you would never feel you were enough. I know you have fallen sometimes in big ways, sometimes in quiet surrender, and afterward you avoided me. You thought I was angry. You thought I was disappointed. You think I want you to make amends. But no, my beloved, I did not come to condemn. I came to embrace you, to wipe away your tears, and to whisper, I am still here. It is in the moments when you feel unworthy that my love shines the brightest. Do not run from me when you are weak. Run to me, for my love is the safest place you can ever fall into. I do not see you through the lens of success or failure. I see you through the eyes of a father, and no father loves his child for grades, titles, or perfection. I love because you are a part of me. You bear my image. You are my beloved creation, irreplaceable. I do not love you less when you fail. I do not love you more when you succeed. My love does not change, but when you trust in that love, you will be the one transformed. My child, I want you to live in freedom. Not freedom to be reckless, but freedom from guilt, from the need to prove yourself. I do not require you to be worthy before you draw near. I came first. When you were still a sinner, I loved you. When you had never called my name, I had already called you by yours. And I have never stopped loving, not even when you turned away. My love is not a passing emotion. It does not withdraw when you stumble. It does not grow cold when you are silent. It does not run out of patience when your weakness repeats itself. Pause for a moment, listen to my voice today. You are my beloved child. In you I am well pleased. Not because you teach well, not because you pray long, not because you hold a position, but because you are my child, and that alone is enough. So stop trying to prove anything. Live as one who is loved, not as a servant striving for approval. Do good things, but not to be loved, rather, because you are loved. That is the root of peace. It is the place where you no longer strain, no longer fear, no longer measure yourself by the eyes of others. It is the place where you can breathe, cry, rejoice, fall, and know that my love remains. My beloved child, there are things you've offered to me in prayer, hesitant dreams, silent desires you dared not say aloud, whispered longings when you were all alone, things you once wrote in your journal only to cross out thinking, how could that ever happen? I have heard them all, and today I want you to know I have not only listened, I am preparing, not just to give you what you asked for, but something far beyond what you've ever dared imagine. For God is able by the power at work within us to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Ephesians 3:20. Do you truly believe this, my child? I am not bound by circumstance, time, age, failure, or human limitation. When I act, I do not merely repair, I restore. When I give, I do not merely meet needs, I surpass them. I do not operate by earthly standards. I act according to my nature, faithful, good, and full of wonders. You once hoped for a door, I am preparing a way. You prayed for a solution, I am orchestrating a new season. Some things you thought were over, but in my plan they were just the beginning. Look at Job. He thought his life had ended in sorrow, loss, and pain. But in the end I restored him double what he had lost. Not because he understood it all, but because he kept his heart toward me, even when nothing made sense. You think you are waiting for a miracle, but truly the miracle is waiting for you to step into the appointed time I have set. Every delay is not denial. There are prayers I have not yet answered, not because I am ignoring you, but because I am arranging something deeper, greater, truer than you imagined. Sometimes I allow you to walk through a long season of silence, only to prepare your heart to receive something so great you could not bear it without maturity. Do you remember Sarah? She was old, and her heart had grown cold toward the promise of bearing a child. She laughed when she heard my word, a laugh laced with bitterness from too many disappointments. But I kept my promise. I gave her a son, and not just a son, but a lineage through whom an entire nation would be born, and ultimately the Messiah. Do you see? My plan is not just to make you happy, but to fulfill an eternal purpose through your life. So do not think I have forgotten your prayers, and do not limit me by your timetable. What I am doing is being prepared with precision. Not a single tear you've shed is meaningless. Every moment of waiting, every act of faith when nothing is visible, every whispered prayer when hope is fading, they are all being woven into a sacred appointment. And when the time comes, the door will open. But not just any door, the door that will lead you into something beyond your greatest expectation. I do not merely want to fulfill your wish, I want to reshape the way you think about yourself, about me, and about what is possible. Because if I gave you what you thought was enough, you would stay in the safe zone. But if I give you what is beyond, then you will know this must surely be the hand of God, and no one else. You will walk by a faith no longer built on logic, but on a living relationship with me. My beloved, do not let your current circumstances dull the wonder I am preparing. Do not let delay steal your holy anticipation. Do not stop dreaming, not because dreams are naive, but because dreams in me are part of a divine blueprint. I am the one who gives what is beyond imagination, and I am doing that in your life, even now, though you may not yet see it. You may think you are too ordinary to be used by God. But it is the ordinary hearts, faithful and trusting, where I pour out the extraordinary. I do not look for talent, I look for trust. You don't need to figure out every step. Just believe that your Father is leading and you are never off course. One day you will look back in awe and say, "How did this even happen?" And I will smile and say, "Because I am the God of the impossible. Because you believed, I acted." You don't need eloquent prayers or perfect plans. You just need to keep your faith and open your hands to receive. Not in your way, but in mine. And you will see every weight was not wasted. Every tear was not in vain. Every whispered prayer was written on my heart. So my child, continue to hope. Keep preparing your heart. What I am doing will astonish you, not just because it is good, but because it fits you, fits the time and fulfills my heavenly purpose. Not an afterthought, but a plan set before time began. Not something you deserve, but something I want you to receive because I love you, because I chose you, and because I am the God who does exceedingly above all you ask or imagine. My beloved child, all this time I have walked with you, not only in moments of glory, but also through silent dark days when no one understood you. I have seen you grow, overcome, stumble, and rise again. And through every season I have not left your side for even one step. You have heard my voice throughout this letter, not as a distant echo from heaven, but as the intimate whisper of a father holding your hand. What I speak is not just to comfort you for a moment, but to plant within you a living faith that I am the one who sees you, knows you, loves you, and never changes. You do not need to be perfect to be kept. You do not need to succeed to be loved more. I love you even in the unfinished chapters. I have begun a good work in you, and I will complete it in due time. So, my child, live each day knowing heaven is on your side. Whether you feel it or not, I am working. Whether you hear me clearly or only sense silence, I still hold you. And these hands will never let go. Continue walking, not in fear, but in love. Not to prove anything, but because you know I am yours and you are mine. I am here yesterday, today, and forever. A letter from God. To that small yet immeasurably precious heart. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not just an audience, you are chosen to live daily in the presence of God's Word. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any sacred message. Amen.